In this one, we have a very rare piece of equipment. This is a Transicorder TR500. This was a mini reel-to-reel dictation machine that was used back in the 1960s before cassette tapes were developed. This is the Transicorder TR500. This is a solid-state, fully transistorized tape recorder that uses quarter-inch audio tape. Takes reel-to-reel, takes it on 3-inch reels. And this unit here was primarily used in the dictation world. One of the first tape recorders I had when I was a kid was one of these. And I'm thrilled to be able to have another one that was sent in by one of my viewers who found it. Someone was getting rid of one on Craigslist, so he sent it over to me. I think this is great because I haven't seen one of these things in probably close to 50 years. I had one back in the late 60s, I would say. My aunt was a secretary, and they used these in the office so that the boss could dictate, right? With the microphone, switch, turn it on and off. You could press it to record and release it to stop, or you could lock it to make a recording. And then the tape would be rewound and given to the secretary to transcribe and type it all out. And they would have a remote foot switch that would plug in, and their headphone jack that would go to their earpiece, their stenographer's headset, which more resembled a doctor's stethoscope. I don't have that, but I did many years ago. Just a mono earpiece that went up to 2 ears, like they used to have in aircraft. It's very, very basic. It's not even a capstan drive. It's just 2 motors that pull the tape through, put it in play. You've got rewind, play, and record. I don't know if this unit works or not. We're going to find out. I think this is a speed control too, so that you can adjust the speed. I'm pretty sure that that's what that is. That's a rheostat to change the speed. Let's take a look on the back side of this thing. This is just the tape that I wound on here, so there's probably some music on here. I believe this tape was recorded at 3 3/4 IPS, half-track mono. And this would be half-track mono. So we may be able to play this tape back. Although the speed adjustment will need to be adjusted because, of course, as the reel fills up, the tape would end up going faster and faster, so we'll have to slow it down so the music stays at a normal speed. But not too worried about that. We're going to make a recording on this thing if it works. Let's take a look at the bottom of this unit. And we're going to open it up. So to open this up, it says press down. So we're going to press this down and the back will come off and reveal the battery compartment. As you can see right off the bat, this thing uses 2 different sizes of batteries. It uses C-size batteries, which are used probably to power the motor, and it uses AA batteries, which are used to power the amplifier, I'm guessing. So we need a 4.5 volt supply and a 9 volt supply for the amplifier. So to power this thing up, I'm going to use both of my power supplies that I have, and I'll set one for 4.5 volts, and I'll set the other one for 9 volts. And we can power this thing up with external power and see whether this thing actually works. So my home-built power supply is set for 9 volts. And my other power supply here, I've got set for 4.5. Of course, before I do that, I want to make darn sure that I know which way these batteries are wired, because looking at this thing, I see a negative and a positive, a negative and a positive, but I see a negative and a positive over here. So obviously these 3 batteries are connected together in series, but we need to find out which way they're connected so that I know which is the negative and which is the positive. So let's just take a look from here. Negative, does this go to a positive terminal? Looks like that one goes to there. Okay, and this one here probably goes to, where does this one go? Okay, those ones go together. Negative to positive. Positive to okay, so that's interesting. So we have a 3, it looks like we have a 3-volt supply. And what is this, a 1.5 volt? Okay, these two are together. And those two are together. But what is this one connected to? That was connected to there. Interesting. So this is not 3 batteries just in series as it would appear. Indeed. Check a look at the bottom of this. Right? This is not wired in series. They're actually using all 3 batteries completely separately. And if we look at the schematic diagram, we can figure out what they've done here. Check out the wiring diagram here. Now, these batteries here, obviously, those are for the amplifier. And these are going to be the Rayovac number 15, as they call it, or 915. These are going to be the AA batteries that are providing 9 volts to power the amplifier circuit. But look at the 3 C-size batteries over here. We have 3 distinct ways of connecting these batteries. First of all, one cell alone is used to power the erase head to erase the tape. It's a DC erase. Okay? And then, depending on the position of for the rewind, it's either going to use 1 cell or 2 cells or all 3 together, depending on what speed it's going to go. You've got a low tension and a high tension. So it can draw either 1.5, 3, or 4.5 volts. So to make this work, I'm going to have to get some batteries. That's the only way to do it. So I guess I'm making a trip down to the dollar store and I'll pick up some C-cells because I really want to see if this thing works. Okay, I got some super heavy duty batteries for $1.25 for 2 at the local dollar store. So these should be more than adequate for testing this unit. I'm going to power the amplifier still with the power supply, and I think that one's pretty straightforward. But for this, because of the way that it's configured, I'm going to use batteries. You're not going to believe this bloody thing. Take a look at how this is wired. Unbelievable. Okay? You've got these batteries in series, and then that one's in series, and then that one's in series, and then that one's in series. But look, got a wire connected here, and a wire connected here, and on this battery compartment, we've got 2 more. Upon a closer inspection, I found that the red wire here had come off of the terminal. When I opened this battery compartment up, what do you know? Everything's connected in series. It is 9 volts. That's why I've marked it as such. They've got, instead of having 6 batteries in series, they've got 5 batteries in series here, and then they've got a wire that's going from the negative terminal on this battery to the positive terminal on that one. So that one becomes a negative terminal, and that one becomes a positive. What a ridiculous way of doing things. I mean, that is just unbelievable. So I'm just going to resolder it. Actually, I probably don't even need to do that for this test. I can just push the wire through here, and we'll just clip onto it. Probably be easier to do that anyway, and then I'll resolder the wire back to the battery compartment once I'm done. So I'll just put the screw back in here, because this will just make it a little bit easier. What I noticed that was when I was trying to clip the battery on there, the clip kept coming off, and I looked at it and I realized the wire wasn't even connected. But that's how they did it, so we are now connected. And if I turn this thing on, it should play. And it doesn't do anything. Rewind works. Oh, you know why? Have to turn the switch on. So are we going to get any sound off this tape? That's the question. goes very slow. It's got a fast forward button here too. But I don't hear any sound. I hear some noise from the amplifier. Let's just remove the head cover and see if there's anything being picked up by the head. If I put my screwdriver near the head or something metal and touch it, I should hear some hum. I do hear something, but not much. Let's try injecting a signal. Let's see whether there's anything. We'll just try putting a signal in here from the signal generator and see if the amplifier is working. So when I touch the generator up against it, I'm hearing very, very slight noise. So I think we have a problem with the amplifier, but we have a schematic, so I think we can fix this thing. Of course, it might help if I make sure my generator is actually turned on. Now let's see if we're going to hear anything. Aha! I do believe that that means that I am getting something through the amplifier, that the amplifier is working. So maybe it just can't play this tape. I was sure there was something recorded on this tape, but it might not be right to the very beginning. Let's make sure that the heads are clean first of all, so we'll just take the reels of tape off here and take a look at the heads, and maybe we'll clean them first before we go any further, just to make sure that, you know, the heads aren't clogged up completely, because that would certainly make the thing not record or play. We know that when I put a tone into the back of the head, I'm hearing it through the speaker, so the amplifier is somewhat working. So we'll just clean the head here first. Make sure that we aren't just up against a dirty head. I mean, after all, this thing is pretty old, and it probably hasn't been used in an exceptionally long time. So this is the erase head, and then the record play head. And as you can see, there's a fair bit of oxide on here. Okay, yeah, there was a fair bit of dirt on there. Let's rethread the tape. And if not, we're going to see if we can get this thing working, because I think this is a cool little project. Let's thread the tape through here. I hear nothing. Try record. Now I should see some levels here, which I don't see any levels on the meter. I'm talking right into the microphone and I don't see any levels, so I think we have an amplifier problem on this unit. So let's take a look at the amplifier and see if we can figure out what's wrong with it. I would imagine that this is the input here from the head, And there's going to be a switch here that gets activated when we switch it between record and play. So let's just lift the circuit board out here and see what we can see on the other side of this board. Oh, a combination of short and long screws. The question is this thing going to slip out, or is it going to be, I think the whole board should just probably just slide out of this thing. But then, I could be wrong. Looks like this headphone jack over here, or the output jack, has got to come out, so we'll just take this out. So get the needle nosers in there. Remove the output jack. That should free up this board a little bit. And what else do I have to take out on this thing? Probably the microphone cord is probably, nope, I guess that's okay. But the wires are pretty tight here. There is a switch on this thing as well. But there's not a lot of play. I've got to take out this other jack as well, the remote. I'm sure we're going to find electrolytic capacitors have dried up on this because this thing's well over 50 years old. Still, it's quite a rare piece, so it'd be nice to get it working, if you know what I mean. Just for the, well, for one, for this nostalgic value of this unit, because, as I say, I used to have one. Okay, here's the circuit board tipped up. Here's our record play switch. I think the first thing we'll do is we'll give this a shot of cleaner and just make sure that our contacts aren't dirty and causing us problems. And there are a few electrolytic capacitors on here that may have gone bad. There's not many. There's only, I think, 3 or 4 on this whole board that may need to be replaced. But I'm sure that they're probably bad just because of the age of it. I mean, you can almost tell by looking at some of these caps that they just don't look to be in really good shape. Look at the rubber plug, the seal here, the red seal. This almost looks like it's, you know, it's all dried and brittle. So these are little 5 microfarad and 30 microfarad. So we're not talking large values of capacitors to begin with. But let's clean out that switch first and take a look and see whether that may be part of the problem. So I've just got some contact cleaner here. I'm just going to spray it down into the switch itself. Okay, I don't need the batteries for the motors. The 9-volt supply over here is going to power the amplifier. As you can hear when I touch on the board, I am hearing something, but I'm not hearing much over here where the head goes in. This is the record play switch. So maybe one of these other capacitors over here, this might be the preamp over here. I'm acting like an antenna. But this is where the head is connected. I should be hearing something here for sure. If I bring my noise generator up here, see, I got nothing there. And the volume control is connected right here. And no ground, so I'm going to hear lots of noise. Yeah, I'm going to change a few of these capacitors here in this circuit. a couple of these caps here in the preamp. I'm going to change them out. I'm sure I've got some, and that might solve the problem, because these ones here look to be, if you look at them here, they look to be in really sad shape. So let's just change out. There's 100 microfarad, there's a couple 5s, and a 50. So I don't think I'm going to have any 5s, but I should have 4.7s. I think they'll probably be close enough. So let's just change out these capacitors, especially these ones down in here. This is in the preamp circuit. Because when I had the microphone on, I wasn't seeing any deflection on the VU meter either, even though I was yelling into the microphone. I wasn't seeing any deflection on the meter. So let's, and we know the amplifier is working because I'm getting sound through it. But I'm not getting anything through the preamp. So it's probably one of these ones down here. So we'll take out this one first. Get my tip clean. This is the first one to come out. Oh, these are all bent over. These are all been done by hand. They pushed them through the board and then they bent them over. That always makes removing them fun. There's the first one, and it goes down to, I believe, here. Yep. We'll even test this thing for the heck of it. Let's just test this cap and see. I'll test it on both the ESR meter and the capacitance meter here. So I've got the old Fluke capacitance meter out. This is supposed to be 5 microfarads. Actually, it's measuring 7. So this one's actually measuring pretty good. Okay, now it's going to 0. Interesting. See, that one's gone open. Went up to 7 there momentarily. But it's gone. So that one's bad. We'll change the other one beside it as well. There's 2 of them side by side, so I'll change both of these out. We're going to change them all because I want to see if this thing works. Plus the fact that this thing's working, it might be worth a few dollars to some collector besides me. But one thing for sure, it's not worth anything if it don't work, right? So let's take the next one out beside it here. See, these caps here are right in the vicinity of the switch too. So these are the ones that are going to, they're connected right to the record play switch. So these are going to be the ones that actually feed the signal through at its lowest level. So these caps being bad, they're going to affect the entire operation. In fact, it might work after just changing a couple of these. So here's another one. This is another 5 microfarad at 10 volts. We'll just replace them with a couple of 10s, because I got lots of 10 microfarad caps. For that matter, I could even just tack these things down on this side of the board. It's not critical that they go on the other side. Someone's going to raise hell over this, I'm sure, but I could just put these on this side of the board here. It doesn't really matter. I got room on the bottom. I guess I'll put them on the bottom here, but it's not really critical where they go, right? But there's room here to put these ones in. I guess I'll be getting an internet speed upgrade here pretty soon, as the guy for the phone company was here today to sign me up for fiber optic. They're putting fiber in my neighborhood, and they're going door to door to to sign people up, which will be interesting. All I know is it's going to create a lot of work, that's for sure. There's thousands of houses here in my neighborhood that will all be switched over soon. Like they told me today it's going to be like 6 weeks. They'll start in about 6 weeks is what they figure they're going to start. The time frame is, which is interesting. Okay, I just created hate mail from people right now. This one's going on this side because I just can't get that one through the hole. There's a spring in the way, and I don't have a lot of clearance to put one of these caps. Is axial leads where it was a radial lead before, so this one's going in on this side of the board. Simple as that. Not going to hurt anything, but it hook it a whole lot easier to connect this thing if I put it on this side of the board. I'll just put a piece of tape under this once it's done to hold it so that it won't short out to anything, but that's a lot easier to get at. It's just that I've got a spring in here that operates the switch. As you can see, I don't want to have anything sticking down, otherwise it's gonna create problems. It already is with the other one that I put in there. So I don't want to create any additional problems with parts sticking down if I don't have to. There's this other big filter back here. Where is it? It's right beside where the other one was. So I'm going to change that one as well. I probably test it with these two done, but there's one more down here I think I'll change as well. It's shouldn't be too hard to get at. So this one's a 100 microfarad at 3 volts, and it went between here and here, the negative side to this terminal. And like the other one, I'm going to put this one in on the bottom of the board here. It goes between this trace and ground, so I'm just going to put this one right down here in the corner. It makes it easier to install it, and there's not really any reason I can't. I got lots of room on this thing. So I'm just going to tin the leads. We'll just tack this one down here. There we go. That's 3 of them replaced. There's a couple more in here. I'll change out this other one down here, I think. These other ones will be a little easier to get to. They're not as crowded on the board. But let's just try it first at this point. I'll just see if the amplifier's picking anything up. So I'll just turn this thing on, and we'll turn on the power, and we'll see whether I get any sound. Let's turn the volume up to full, and I'll turn on the power, and I'll see if I'm getting any sound off of the head. It sounds like I am. Right? It sounds like I'm getting noise now. Probably not enough yet. Get in here with the signal generator. Nope, still not enough. Should be a lot louder than that, I think. Change a few more. So one side of that one out. The other side is down here, I think. Or is it this one? That's it there. So that went between this one and this one, negative and positive. And I'm just going to mount another one here just on this side of the board. Okay, that's one more. And there's another one down behind here. There's only 3 more capacitors on this whole entire board. And we'll have changed all the electrolytics, so we'll just change out the remaining 3. This one's down here. There. Okay. So from there to there, and this one is a 50 microfarad, so I gotta go find a 47. I don't have a 47, so a 33 is gonna have to do. That's all I've got. So we'll just put this one across here. Okay, there's 2 more to go. One's here and one's over here. The last 2, and then hopefully this thing's going to produce some sound. I'll be really disappointed if it doesn't. This one's a 30 at 10, so another 33 will do. Okay, that's got all the electrolytic capacitors on this thing swapped out. Let's see if we can make this thing make any noise. Let's turn on some power. I think I got power on there. We'll give this thing some volume. I think the volume's cranked up there. And power on. So we're just going to set the board back in place here. Push all the wires in place so I can reattach the board. Well, let's see whether I get anything when I put this thing into record. I'm going to yell into this microphone and see if anything comes up on this meter. Hello? Oh, hello? Hello? Can you hear me? I am yelling into this microphone. Do we have any audio? Now, let's see if I can hear anything at all. Well, I can hear something. It's very faint. So we have to figure out why. For that, we have the schematic. Okay, if we use a tone generator, if I put tone into here, loud, really loud, here's a transistor down in here. This is the preamp transistor down in here. Here's the input from the head. And it goes through the switch, which brings it up to here. From here, we're looking at the schematic here. We're going through the switch. This is our record play switch. So when we're in playback, it couples in through C2 into TR1. And then TR1 ends up at C3, which goes to the volume control. And if we go to the volume control, that one is, where is it here? I believe it was this one right here. Or is it? Is that the volume? Okay, that's the volume. That's the volume there. That one I believe is C3 doesn't say what the value is, but that's going to be C3. This is going to be the other side of C3 right here, which is going to the collector of the preamp transistor, which is one of the ones down here. And the base to that is going to go to C2, which I believe is this one. And that goes back to the switch, or is it here? I know there's a transistor in there, I saw it. Let's lift the board out again and take a look at it. Here's the transistor right down here. If we look down on the board here, there's a transistor right here. This is our preamp transistor, and it is attached to the board on these 3 points right there. And one side's going to a capacitor, and that's going to be that's probably the base, I'm thinking. And the emitter and the collector. Let's see, there's two, what the heck? There's 2 caps on here. So we look at the transistor here, it's a PNP, germanium transistor, 0.2, 0.2. Yeah, that's right. So that transistor's not popped. Just tracing circuits here. This is the base here. Okay, so this is the cap that's on the back side of the board that goes between here and here. This is the input from the switch right there. So we're going to take a look at some voltages here. There should be, we have our power supply coming in, and we should have a voltage through R3 to bias this transistor, which I don't think this transistor may not be getting power. R3 here might be open. You see, our power supply comes in, this is our switch here, and our power comes up through here. It feeds the transformer. We know that that part's working, but it also feeds up here through R15. We know this part of the circuit's working though, but because everything from the volume control this way is working, but R3 might be open, it might be not supplying power to that transistor, because again, if I put my tone here on C3, I get lots of noise, but I'm not getting much on the base here. So it might be this resistor has gone open. Let's just find the R3. We'll check our voltages here to our collector of this transistor and see whether we're getting any power to it. So I'll just get the meter. And I'll apply power to the unit. Okay, I'll just turn on the power supply. There goes the phone. Gotta answer the phone. Just had a video call there from a friend who's working on a CD player. So he phones me over BBM video to show me a CD player. And we're trying to resolve a problem with a clamp. That video chat is kind of cool. Okay, let's check and see whether I have any power to this transistor. And it's going to be on the same side. I think that, where are we here? Okay, this side here is, where was it? This is it here. It'd probably be this side, because I think this is the one that has, this is the collector. Is this the collector? No, this is, yeah, this one's the collector here. So that's emitter, base, and collector. So it should be on this one, I think. Let's just check and see if we've got any voltage here. Power on. And we'll see if there's any voltage here. We have minus 0.9 volts. Somehow I think that that is low. We don't have any power here. That transistor is not being biased on. But then let's just make sure I'm on the right rail. Okay, there's my 9 volts. We have, yeah, okay, we got 8 volts there, that's right. I was grounded to the wrong point. 4 volts, 8 volts. Okay, I'm back working on that. I got my little digital function generator out here. And I'm just looking at the schematic, and you see my tone level is really low here. And when I put my scope on here, oops, my probe just came off, I see low amplitude on the scope, but it's good there. Looking at the schematic, okay, I'm looking here. This is where I'm losing my signal, is right down here. And I get the camera to focus here. So my signal's good. It's looking for something to point with here. My signal is good here. My signal is bad over here. Right? If I put my tone on here to the volume control, it's loud. And I'm just looking at this, and you know what? I can see right now what I did wrong. I can see exactly what I did wrong. When I mounted this transistor down, or this capacitor, look on the bottom of the board. Yeah, you know what? I fucked up. This goes, it doesn't connect with this one, okay? This is this capacitor right here. And you can see I've got it joined to the emitter. It's supposed to be on the collector. I've got this filter cap, or this bypass cap here. It is going to the emitter along with this other one. It's supposed to go to the collector. Oh! I bet you I'll get lots of volume out of it now. Shall we try it? Betcha, betcha, betcha. Oh, that's already a good sign. Oh yes, lots of signal, lots of signal. Let's throw this together and see if it works. I have a feeling that it's going to work now. So let me just put that board back in. See, that's what happens when you're not paying attention. When you start mounting parts on the top side of the board instead of the bottom. And the only reason I did that was because I don't have enough clearance on the bottom of the board to start putting in, like this one had axial lead caps that were in there, and I don't have enough room to put radial lead caps on here and bent them over, because in this area underneath here there's a spring which pushes the record play switch back to the play position. And with the capacitors in there, I was able to mount one on the bottom of the board without it causing a problem, but mounting the other ones on there, just the way they're standing up, I think would have caused some problems. So I mount them on the top side board, which is fine, but when I soldered this one down, I moved it over to the wrong side of the transistor, and that would probably explain why I had no signal. So let's just put this back together. See, I didn't even take it all apart this time. I just kind of took out the minimum that I had to get this thing out to work on it. Let's put the control back in here and see whether we get any noise out of this thing this time. I have a feeling that I will. Make sure that in the right place that the switch will get activated. Looks like it will. Okay, now I can put screws back in. Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna draw some fire from the guys out there that are gonna be upset that I didn't get the original capacitors and mount them on the bottom of the board like this. This is my unit. I don't intend to sell this thing, but if I did, I would change these out and put some, I'd go and get some axial lead and put ones in on the bottom, just to make you guys feel better. If I were to sell this, which I won't be, I would go and get the right capacitors, just so you know. Okay, should be able to power this thing up right like that. Don't need to do anything else right now. I'll mount that back in here once I know that everything works. So let's just turn the unit over so we can test it and see whether it works. Okay, to put this thing into record, I have to have this up into the on position for the motor to turn, but if I turn it to record, I should be able to see deflection on the meter, which we are now getting. So if I turn this thing to record, okay, this thing should be recording what I'm saying now. As we can see, we do have audio. The meter is moving, which means that there is a signal that is going to the tape. And when I play this thing back, I should be able to hear what I'm saying, if I've fixed it right by changing out all these bad capacitors, because that's all we've done is we've recapped this entire board. And you know, I did kind of mess up. I did hook one of the capacitors up to the wrong side of the transistor, but it didn't take long to figure that one out. It only took me a few minutes, and I figured out what I did wrong, and now we should have sound. So let's just play this back and see if it works. Okay, so we rewind the tape. Okay, the moment of truth. Does it work?
Okay, this thing should be recording what I'm saying now. As we can see,
there we go.
Audio, the meter is moving, which means that there is a signal that is going to the tape. And when I play this thing back, I should be able to hear what I'm saying, if I fix it right by changing out all these bad capacitors, because that's all we've done is we've recapped this entire board. And you know, I did kind of mess up. I did hook one of the capacitors up to the wrong side of the transistor, but it didn't take long to figure that one out. It only took me a few minutes, and I figured out what I did wrong, and now we should have sound. So let's just play this back and see if it works.
And I forgot to say one thing. Dave, if you choose to accept this mission, you're on your own, and this tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
One thing, Dave, if you choose to accept this mission, you're on your own, and this tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Now, if anybody remembers what that was from a TV show. That used a tape recorder that looked very much like this. If we go back far enough to the 1960s, early 1970s, that would be from the original Mission Impossible. I think he had a little reel-to-reel tape recorder. I don't know if it was a Transicorder or not. Somebody out there probably knows, but it was a little reel-to-reel tape recorder. Anyway, hey, this thing's fixed. This is great. What a classic piece. Now, let's just see what this speed control does. This should change the speed of the tape. I've got it on the fastest speed here, so...
Okay, we should be recording what I'm saying
so
now.
You slow it down.
See, we do have audio. The meter is moving, which means that there is a signal that is going to the tape. And when I play this thing back, I should be able to hear what I'm saying, if I fix it right by changing out all these bad capacitors, because that's all we've done is we've recapped this entire board. And you know, I did kind of mess up. I did hook one of the capacitors up to the wrong side of the transistor, but it didn't take long to figure that one out. It only took me a few minutes, and I figured out what I did wrong, and now we should have sound. So let's just play this back and see if it works.
There we go.
5 seconds.
And as you can hear, there was some music recorded very low on this tape before. Well, that was me screaming into it trying to make a recording when I had the capacitor hooked up to the wrong side. You'll hear. Should be able to hear some. That was me trying to record on it when I had the cap hooked up to the wrong side of the transistor. So there was something there, but it just wasn't very loud. This tape didn't come with this. This is actually a tape that I had when I got this thing. Both reels were empty, so I just found an old tape and just rewound some tape onto here to make it work.
Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this channel, you can support me many ways. You can do it either through PayPal or you can do it through Patreon. The address is on the screen there. And also, you can send me old equipment. If you've got a piece of equipment you think I might be interested in, whether it's a tape recorder or CD player or anything that's rare. Okay, I'm more of a collector of the old equipment than the newer stuff. But if you've got a piece that you would like either repaired or you don't want it repaired and you just want to find a home for it, I will accept them as a donation, which is what I've done with this one. And what I'll do is like this one, I'll restore it and I'll put it into my private collection. I collect old audio video equipment. I've got quite the collection of old equipment. I try to maintain it, and this one here is going into my personal collection. So once again, thanks for watching. I'm really glad that I got this piece, because as I was saying earlier in the video, I had one of these when I was young. I think maybe 4 or 5 years old, maybe 5. I think it was around 69, somewhere in there. 68, 69. I had one of these things before I even got my first cassette tape recorder. I had one of these. My aunt was a secretary, and they used these in the office for dictation and transcription. And as I stated earlier in the video, when they transitioned over to cassette, they took all these old ones out of service, and my aunt brought home the one that she had used and gave it to me. And it was identical to this unit. I even, as I say, had the headset, but it's long gone. So I'm really happy to get this thing again. I've got another piece of equipment that she gave me, which maybe I will actually try to service it. Although I'm not really a typewriter mechanic, but I have an IBM Selectronic, I think, what's it called, Selectronic? Selectric, an IBM Selectric. That's the one that had the ball that would spin back and forth and tilt up and down and strike the page to type. And it's all mechanical. It's controlled by these, they look like long, thin, like piano wires that are controlled by cams and so forth. I don't know if this thing even works, but I've got it sitting out in my garage. It hasn't been turned on in forever. It's rare. One of these days, maybe I'll haul it out and we'll see if I can get that thing working. But in future videos, I've got some CD players, I've got some DVD recorders, I got a bunch of stuff sitting here that people have donated to me over the last couple of months that I'm going to be getting working on. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you again in the next one real soon. Bye for now. And this tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.